Welcome to our few moments together on the Parsha. This Shabbos, we have the privilege of reading Parshas Vayechi, at the end of which we say Chazak, Chazak, v'nischazek. We strengthen ourselves, and we strengthen, and then we re-strengthen ourselves even more. Because we're finishing the entire Sefer Bereshis in the reading of the Torah. And we may not understand each and every sentence or each and every idea, but yet we start Shmos and go further, and we are strengthening ourselves to the continuance of the study of Torah. Parshas Vayechi, and he lived. Vayechi Yaakov, and Yaakov lived, actually spends a lot of time speaking about Yaakov's death and his preparation for his death. As he tells his son Yosef, Unasasani mi Mitzrayim, ukvartani b'kvurasam. You are to take me out of Egypt and to bury me in the grave of my fathers. And the bringing to Jewish burial in a way that is completely in accordance with Torah is one of the basic principles of the Jewish way of life. Isn't that interesting? It's called Vayechi Yaakov. And Yaakov lived, but it speaks so much about his death and burial. Because the truth of the matter is, the way we deal with death tells us a lot about the way we deal with life. There's a fascinating little piece of Gemara in Masechta Tainis on Daf Hey Amud Beis, in which Rav Nachman and Rabbi Yitzchak are having a discussion. And Rabbi Yitzchak says, I want to tell you something. Hachi Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Here is something that was said by Rabbi Yochanan. Yaakov Avinu lo meis. Yaakov, our father, did not die. What? Asks the Gemara. Were all the eulogies for nothing? Was the embalming for nothing? And embalming is not as we would expect, but rather it was done under the guise of Yosef and his permitted embalming methods according to halacha. And was he buried for nothing? Ella, says the Gemara, I'm going to explain a sentence. The pasuk in Yirmiyah in Perek Lamed says that you, Yisrael, should not be afraid because you and your family are going to return. Amazing. Yaakov is compared to his children, to his seed. Ma zaracha b'chayim, af hu b'chayim. Just like Zaro, his seed, is alive, so is he alive. And of course, we understand that this means as long as we teach and pass on what we've got, we're all very much alive. But Rashi, on that Gemara, says an interesting thing. Rashi says, Yaakov Avinu did not die, elachayla olam. He lived forever. And the Mashah explains, doesn't mean his body lived forever. There's no question that his body died. But it meant his soul lived forever. The Meromei Sadeh takes it one step further. And he says, it's not just that Yaakov did not physically die, but this is one of those places in the Torah that hints to the fact that all the honor, all the eulogies, all that was said and done for the honor of Yaakov was perceived and felt by Yaakov as if he was alive. And therefore, it's been our tradition that we recognize the eternity of the Jewish soul and that it's treated in death with the utmost of dignity. End-of-life issues are carefully prepared for. Questions about DNR do not resuscitate. questions about what heroic or lack of heroic measures must be taken. And all this in Parshas Vayechi, because the Chevra Kedisha Society has asked all rabbis on this Shabbos to speak about Team Shabbos. And the team stands for Traditional End-of-Life Awareness Movement. The Traditional End-of-Life Awareness Movement, the team. And all Jews have to prepare for the proper end of life. For just as we live halachically, life and death is part of life. And therefore, Vayechi Yaakov, he lived on as our traditions and our children and our souls live on forever. And chazak, chazak, v'nis chazek, we strengthen ourselves despite the fact that physically, everything physical has an end, but that the neshama knows, as Yaakov's neshama knew, what goes on, and that we prepare properly for all the halachic requirements of a good life and a good end of life. It's not morbid. It's not depressing. On the contrary, it's uplifting, because we know Yaakov Avinu lo meis, mazaro b'chayim, afhu b'chayim, and so are we. Have a wonderful, uplifting, and lively Shabbos.